Hello, folks. Welcome to Irongeek Cast number 68, ClothesHanger function. More on that in a bit. Anyway, everybody, welcome to the cast.
Thank you.
All right, normal show notes. Going to say some of the cons I'm at. I'm currently up here at Detroit for Converge / B-Sides Detroit. That's happening May 10th for the 12th. I have no idea if the tickets are sold out or not. They got NotaCon coming up May 18th for the 20th. Hackers on a Farm, Mary's gig, May 24th to the 27th, and Circuit City Con, June 1st through the 3rd, and Show Me Con, June 7th through the 8th. Then B-Sides Cleveland on June 23rd, and GerCon September 6th and 7th. Then DerbyCon 8, October 3rd through the 7th. And then there's a bunch of cons later in the year that haven't gotten back with me yet. So, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Doing well.
I'll see you at B-Sides Cleveland and Derby.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll see you at Derby too. Quick roll call. Did everybody get Derby tickets? I'll take that as a no.
I think you and Ricky might be it.
Yeah.
Charles is going to be there. He's not on the stream right now. And
Jack has ticket.
Okay.
I think Jack has a ticket.
Jack has ticket. Maybe.
Yeah, I do.
Cool. The illustrious Jack.
well, let's hop into the show notes. We still have the survey out there. I'm assuming that still collects data. Ricky?
Yeah, I haven't ended it. It's still going on. Let me see if there's any new entries. I think I showed. I think we went through it offline this last weekend, just kind of what the general overview results were. Let me see. We've collected. Last I checked, I'm looking right now. We collected 7 responses. We now have 8. So the trends are. Yeah, one more. There are a lot of things people like. They like that people on the show don't appear to have an ego. They like hearing the world news, tech stuff, the humor that is brought to the show. They like the culture stuff as well. A lot of people talked about the length of the podcast maybe being too long. That sometimes they can make it through half of it or a quarter of it, and otherwise recommended can it be shortened a little bit. And that was the overall vibe. People were they liked it quite a bit. They thought it was either excellent or very good. So we got pretty good feedback from the 8 people that responded. So thanks to everybody who responded. It's still open. Hit it up.
And we do keep it in the show notes. So if you want to get the link and click on the show notes and choose, it's number 1 on the last couple of weeks.
One other feedback option that we got from the Discord channel was when we discuss articles that aren't part of the show notes, people said it'd be helpful if we can share a screen so they can read along or see where we're getting the link from, the data from. So that was, I think Zebra had requested that.
Okay, cool. We can do that.
Cool. Okay, this first news item up here. Facebook's running TV ads promoting a newfound direction towards privacy. Have they been hit that bad as far as usership that they're willing to run ads like that, or what's the deal?
I actually saw it on television the other night and took a double take because all of a sudden Facebook is on television. So I went and found the, where they have it threw up on YouTube, and so we got the link. If somebody want me to show it, or you think we'll get a copyright, some type of violation for showing it?
No, it sounds like fair use to me, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, because you're
what's the length of the clip?
Comments.
Or this is quintessentially we're doing commentary on it, so I think a good argument can be made for fair use. I can't speak as to if it should be a takedown or not, but that's one of those trial and error things.
Well, so far, everything copyright, I've never actually gotten a copyright strike. It's just that people complain about copyright, and the monetization goes to somebody for like a 10-second clip of a song, and it's too much work to fight it.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotcha. Okay, let's watch it then.
Okay.
This ought to be funny.
Screen share.
You got enough fans in that room, bro?
No, one more working one would probably be good. I mean, can you see the one over on the far? My left.
I see 3.
Okay.
You need to get central air.
Yeah, I need to install a new one. Okay, you guys can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Good deal. Let's go. Can you hear? Oh.
No audio, man.
No audio.
Really? Wonder how I'd get the audio. Okay, wait a minute.
Yeah, the audio's probably pumping through your headset if you have a headset on.
Yeah, it is. I'll just unplug the headset. Can you guys hear it now?
Here's something.
You can hear something.
Ding, ding.
24th to us his happy birthday. We discovered our uncle used to play in a band and realized he was young once too. And we found others just like us. And just like that, we felt a little less alone. But then something happened. We had to deal with spam, clickbait, fake news, data misuse. That's going to change. From now on, Facebook will do more to keep you safe and protect your privacy, so we can all get back to what made Facebook good in the first place. Friends. Because when this place does what it was built for, then we all get a little closer.
And there it is.
I still trust you. Facebook.
I know Facebook's gotten record. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, isn't there something objectively false about Facebook bringing people closer together? Aren't there studies to show that isn't the case? That people feel more separated? There's greater depression associated with those that use Facebook on a frequent basis. I don't get that feel good with the privacy stuff aside, which we know is bullshit. The fact that they would present this as we're bringing people closer together, and maybe in some cases it does, but overall it feels like the general vibe is, from the studies that we have available, is that it doesn't. People feel more and more isolated, more and more depressed.
I've seen those studies more so refer to obsessive social media use in general, not specific to Facebook. And I think a good argument can be made that compared with not interacting with an individual at all, interacting with them, even if you are miserable in the process, is still technically bringing you closer together. If not physically, then I guess emotionally? I don't know.
So you know how people will now text somebody instead of calling them because it's easier, right? Yeah. You'll shoot them a text instead of calling them. Calls were used instead of talking to somebody face to face. So you've even shortened that interaction with people to Facebook. Like maybe you interact with them once a year and you see pictures of the kids grown up. So I get your point. I think in some cases it does, but I think overall, I don't see it bringing people closer together. But that's not really the argument here. It was just something funny about the video, I thought.
As far as privacy goes, I know that Facebook recently posted record profits, posted really good profits. So obviously, at least for their past quarter, the negative press coverage has not hurt their bottom line. If anything, it might have even helped it if I probably convinced advertisers, oh my God, if Russia used Facebook to influence the election, then if we put ads in there, it must be able to influence people to buy our product. That kind of logic. A lot of policymakers are definitely skeptical of Facebook. Not quite certain the best way forward. And the context of privacy, it's kind of hard to really frame the problem right. I mean, it's a problem. Yes, there is a Cambridge Analytica problem of app permissions are a little too open. At the same time, it would be considered a privacy issue for, let's say, Facebook to try to aggregate every single possible piece of information that's quote unquote public about you, even if you don't know that information is public. You get your school records, college records, it's scrape LinkedIn and everything. Get all the buy information from marketing firms that have information about, if not your contact book, then the contact books of everyone that have your phone number, and so they can essentially create a profile of you by proxy. It's what point there is the privacy issue, because if you don't frame it right, then you are opening yourself up for critics to say, you give all your information to Facebook, therefore you don't care about your privacy, which I've freaking heard from the freaking FBI beforehand. It's like, that's one of the most disingenuous arguments there is.
Yeah, agreed.
Anyways.
Yeah, it's curious.
Anyway,
they're losing users hand over fist. I'm curious
as
to what. Yeah, I was just screen sharing an article here that they're losing users, younger users, at a faster clip than estimated, and more than 140 some odd million people will be leaving the platform this year.
I never really put
which is a drop in the bucket with the billions, but
140 billion is not a drop in the bucket, even with billions.
Yeah, I mean, who's the people? Where the interactive, the whole delete Facebook campaign happened. It is interesting to hear that they are receiving record profits, though. That is interesting.
Yeah, it's probably because the accounts that are going to be deleted are the secondary accounts that everybody has.
And also a lot of the bot accounts, because let's face it, there's a fuck ton of bots.
Yeah. Tell you what, if we can see the Russian girls who are trying to get into cybersecurity limit down, I'd be all for that.
Yeah, I've got a few Facebook requests recently from really, kind of cute women. The one listed herself as male, but she was definitely presenting as female. I don't know.
That's the catfish one.
Mm-hmm. It's not a very good catfish, or maybe they thought that's what Adrian's into. I don't know.
I get those on Instagram. I don't know. I don't generally use Facebook. I have an account and I've had it since around the time it was created, but I rarely ever use it. But my friends started using Snapchat and Instagram, so I had to hop on there to see the bullshit they were up to. And I don't know how to use Snapchat, but Instagram's an entirely different thing. It seems it's just full of women's butts.
Well, that's a pretty positive. Actually, I had a friend, a friend of mine. His daughter told him something about, well, no one uses Twitter anymore. Apparently, a lot of youngsters are off on Instagram or someplace else. And okay,
yeah, they were really in it for the pictures. Facebook, so Instagram gives the ability to comment and post pictures. And again, instead of Twitter posting your 240 characters, they post on Instagram. And if you look in the comments, there's a lot less fighting, which is interesting.
Yeah, Twitter seems to be designed to get fights going and people dogpiling each other. And I made a comment on one of NRTV's comments once, and I found that NRATV is seems to be followed more than anybody else by people who are rabid gun haters. Because most of the comments on them are pretty negative. I'm thinking most of the people who are into the content that they put out in media just watch the content and don't comment on Twitter.
My guess is that NRI-TV probably more than doubled in viewership after the whole after all the publicity it got.
Mm-hmm. And the more you hear about it, I think you guys were telling me they're not even the most staunch defenders of the Second Amendment.
Yeah, I know.
They don't seem.
They have told me there's better groups like what is it?
Gun Owners of America, Second Amendment Foundation, etc., etc.
Yeah. Yeah, Second Amendment Foundation is one I had recalled from that, but like they don't even spend a lot of money as far as political campaign groups go, lobby groups. They spend very little money. I don't. Obviously, I don't think anybody on here is the type that would understand the hate that comes directly at the NRA. Maybe it's Dana Lash. Maybe it's the way she presents herself. I don't know. But
I have people telling me Dana look good for 38. Well, actually, she's now like 40 or 41. But I made a comment about, about her looking very attractive. If someone said that's on rough 38, I'm like, I'm pretty shallow. But I don't see how most people can't look at Dana Lash and go, that's an attractive looking woman for her age.
She's a smoke show regardless of her age. In my opinion. She's very, very attractive.
Just on my
Dana what?
Dana Lash.
Low shot. Sorry.
LOESCH. Yeah. I think it's how you spell it.
She pronounces it Lash, and so do most of the gun people I follow, so I just say Lash too.
Yeah, she's an attractive lady.
Yeah, she is.
Just a figure that I just looked up. Apparently, in lobbying, the NRA did about $5 million towards lobbying and $357,000 towards contributions towards. I think contributions is towards direct candidates.
Yeah, and that's per an election cycle as well.
Correct, and this is the one for 2018. Yeah. So if we go back to 2016, see what they did there. That's a little bit. So this is a full election cycle that is finished. I'm not sure if the 2018 election cycle is finished and if there's going to be more contributions, but a few million.
The whole gun thing is a big divisive argument for politics. I'm watching like some stuff that Hogg says, and he's like, "We're going to vote these people out." You realize every time you say that, the people who are on the exact opposite side of the spectrum from you, it just makes them want to go out and vote more. So I think I think he thinks that more people are on his side than actually are.
Well, his whole boycott strategy didn't work either. Remember, he called on boycotts for what's that woman? You know how I'm talking about, the lady who said he was whining about his college tuition, and he said boycott these companies because they sponsor her show, and some companies pulled their sponsorships and then decided, well, no, we're going to put the money back in.
Oh, David Hogg.
Yeah, this is the David Hogg kid.
Yeah, I heard about the money going back in, but I had heard her ratings had increased.
Yeah, her ratings increased, and then after a while, the money. Some of them didn't go directly back into her show, but they went back into Fox. So she wasn't hurt by it at all. It doesn't seem. Yeah. What a mess that was, huh? It was an occasion where you want to feel for the kids because you know how horrific something like that must have gone.
Then it's got. Hogg and Emily Gonzalez just come off as so abrasive and demanding, and they come out as assholes.
Yeah, not likable at all. I don't have real strong feelings about Emily Gonzalez. I thought that rally that they had where she like kind of bowed her head and stood there for those several, was it a couple of minutes? That was the most persuasive. I thought she was the best one out of all of them. And then you have the David Hogg with his fist in the air, with all the Hitler memes that came along with it. Like,
the best one out of
he
that
is not a
was
likable character.
Welcome to the New Hitler Youth was like the one like meme that I saw from that. That was funny.
Yeah.
I don't have much to say on the Facebook thing. Does anybody else have anything else to say on Facebook?
No.
It's interesting that they just put out an ad, but they don't like. Has anyone looked at documentation on what their new security and privacy terms are, or mitigations, I should say?
No, and I feel
whatever they're doing
as far as fake news, that will just be censoring opinions they don't like.
Mm.
Some changes are being made to comply with the GDPR. That's the new European privacy framework requirement.
And they're probably going to roll those out globally. You don't think they'll try to do that geographically, do you?
Of course they're going to do it geographically. Are you insane?
Yeah, if they try to geographically, that's just asking for trouble.
Well, it's asking for them to lose money.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to willingly do that.
Be nice, though, right? Tell Google, hey, I want all my data deleted. Be nice.
There's no way they're going to do that.
Yeah. There's ways you could do it, yes, but not as easy as making a simple request and erase yourself from Google.
There's always their
backups.
backups.
In the EU, I mean, you have that right to be forgotten.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if Facebook's actually really lost a notable number of users. I know a lot of policymakers around the world are really critical of Facebook right now. But there seems to be a bit of a disconnect between policymakers and users where I'm sure there's a lot of users who are aware of the problem. They may be a bit angry or confused or just have this general sense of dread about lack of privacy related to Facebook. Yeah, I've not been hearing any kind of big exodus. As far as a news report, it was mentioned earlier about younger demographics not really going with Facebook. I sincerely doubt that's anything related to Cambridge Analytica or recent privacy fears that are primarily broadcasted in news mediums that younger demographics never actually look at.
Yeah,
it's most likely because Facebook
likely
is
not.
Yep, I think that Facebook is not really seen as cool or chic, and it's a lot of younger kids don't really want to use their real names when they're being kids.
Yeah,
again, to be fair, a lot of older people don't want to use their real names.
This came across as a TV advertisement, right? The
Mm-hmm.
people that watch TV are generally going to be older. They're the ones that would be concerned about the privacy aspects of it. They probably have heard of Cambridge Analytica. And
you misunderstood. Sorry, you misunderstand. A lot of younger demographics definitely do care about privacy, just in a different way.
I don't think there's any. Yeah, there's no confusion here as to younger people caring about privacy, but the ones likely to quit Facebook for that reason are going to be your older viewers.
Or more technical and more security savvy, younger generational people. I have two.
Leaving Facebook is a social decision. It's not really a technical one. I would imagine the older demographics are the least likely to leave it because they're not really aware of many other alternatives. Whereas the younger generations, they are much more willing to try other social media platforms.
Right.
Probably got to define what we mean by older generation too. If your grandma's not,
I should probably clarify
between the ages of 34 and I don't know, let's say 34 and 50. They're generally maybe even 24 to 50, somewhere around there. Those are the people that would be aware and technically savvy and want to lease Facebook. The younger people, they're going for more hipper apps. And then the older people, they know Facebook, and that's about all they know.
Yeah,
It's
to keep
also,
in touch with people. Where people find them.
What was that, Whitey?
I think that the older people use it mostly because, like, people you went to school with, people you ain't seen in a long time, they'll get a hold of you. You run into old friends and just way to keep in touch with people that you lost contact with. But the young people, I don't think they care about privacy. They're all about it. You know what I mean? That's what I mean, right?
Yeah, to call most young people, security conscious and aware is pretty fucking generous. Most people are pretty ignorant on that kind of stuff in general. That's why most of us have jobs in this field.
It's not really a technical thing though. It's social. You can be as tech savvy as you want, and be as privacy paranoid as you want. But if you're in a situation where the only real job opportunities you have require you to be on Facebook, well, you either care about your privacy or you could put food on the table.
Yeah, like if you work for Facebook.
Well, or almost any kind of marketing firm for businesses.
I have a friend that I used to work with, and he started his own his entire business revolves around social media marketing for small businesses and some small corporations as well. So doing stuff like that kind of makes sense on where you would. That's one of those cases where, do I put food on the table, or do I make sure that my business is actually getting customers? Do I have revenue and stuff like that from my marketing? And also for the younger generation, I've noticed a lot of people move to Instagram, which is also owned by Facebook, which I found interesting. It's like, okay, so and you can integrate it with it integrates with Facebook now after they bought it, I think about a year ago or so. They bought it for, I think it was a couple billion or something like that. I don't remember. But yeah, that was kind of funny. And what was interesting was, and to go back to like the disconnect between policymakers, when the hearings were going on, the main thing that policymakers seemed to be concerned about was the freedom to say what you wanted to say without being criticized for it. Not so much that, like, there wasn't anything about Cambridge Analytica is basically, and we talked about this a few weeks back when those trials were still happening. And everyone was just talking about, like, what is hate speech? Like, what do we like define that as? Like, and it totally derailed the entire purpose for Facebook actually being there, or for Zuckerberg even being at that trial, was that there was a misuse of and kind of sort of a leak of data, or of private user data that they had stored.
Yeah.
So I know a little bit of the hearing I saw did mention Cambridge Analytica. The whole thing was mostly kabuki theater. I mean, it was posturing, but there was nothing substantive was going to really come of it unless Zuckerberg said something incredibly stupid, which he didn't.
But he wasn't under oath. That was the big thing.
I don't really think that would have changed much, even if he was.
Yeah, actually, I didn't realize he wasn't. Huh.
You never know. The funniest videos that came out of that were the Diamond and Silk. They were under oath, and I what is somebody sawing something?
That's rubber.
Oh, I'm sorry, gentlemen. I thought I had my mic mute. I'm grating ginger, actually. So
nice.
Right next
I thought someone was going to town.
Delicious.
Nice. I mean, this is the nearest Democrat right now. Since we're talking politics.
Okay.
Something related to Facebook. Just remember, this probably might be some people might be concerned about here. WhatsApp founder left Facebook and has been tweeting out effectively stating, yeah, chances are end-to-end encryption has been compromised for WhatsApp, and you should not rely on it for end-to-end encryption anymore.
Wasn't it? Didn't that news just break like recently? And wasn't it something like it was for some regions, or was it all regions? Do you recall? I mean, right?
It's not been explicitly stated. Just the former CEO of WhatsApp has stated that during his time at Facebook, there was increasing pressures to subvert the encryption so that the chat logs could be screened for monetization purposes. And it sounds like those kind of discussions hit a breaking point where the head of WhatsApp left Facebook, has donated $50 million to the Signal Foundation, and has been tweeting out delete Facebook. And it's pretty much the writing's on the wall. WhatsApp is almost certainly no longer using the Signal protocol. Or if it is, it won't be for much longer.
I think most of us here use Signal, right? I have a lot of you guys on Signal. Yeah.
Whenever I get my new phone, I'll have Signal, yes.
I have a article from The Verge.
I use AOL Messenger.
Not anymore, you don't.
Not anymore. I have the article pulled up for WhatsApp's end-to-end encryption failure, I guess. Yeah, basically, I think goes into what Liz was saying. Also, another app that I use that is owned by Facebook. Yay!
Use LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Use LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Owned by Microsoft now.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't care as much.
About Snapchat too?
Snapchat, I think, is independent. But yeah,
they're losing money.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Didn't
Facebook acquire Snapchat a while back?
No.
I
Facebook.
thought so.
I'll look actually.
I know they had Instagram, but I'm with Liz here. I thought they also had Snapchat for some reason.
No, I think they were going after Snapchat, but then the price that they couldn't agree on a price, and then Facebook said, "Fuck you, we'll create something similar," and so then they added Snapchat's features into Instagram.
Yeah, literally. Here's an excerpt from the Washington Post. Snapchat's 23-year-old co-founder, Evan Spiegel, recently turned down a $3 billion offer from Facebook to buy the popular phone app and video sharing app. Snapchat has no revenue, but Spiegel made the right move.
I would have taken that money and ran.
Oh gosh.
I'd have bought an island somewhere and said, fuck it.
$3 billion and you say no? That's some next level stuff, man.
I mean, think about it though. You build out Snapchat with like no money. What could you build out with $3 billion? You could probably build something pretty sweet.
And there's also people like early on. There was people wanting to buy Facebook from him, and he refused to sell.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I guess it's a gambler's choice, but I'm not much of a gambler. When I go to Vegas or anything like that, if I get $20 and I win 40, I'm out. I stop. I'm done. I would have taken that money.
Snapchat's
had like
revenue.
a security private island, and we'd have a conference once a year.
If we're on an island, I think we should have it twice a year.
Okay, twice a year. That's fine. Fly everybody in.
Exactly.
So you said security private, so no cell phone towers.
Ooh.
Nice.
Granted, if it's on an island, then I don't think tower would be the right way to put it anyway.
Faraday cages surrounding everything.
The whole island is in one gigantic Faraday cage.
It's just a giant box in the middle of the ocean.
Yes, and we're going to rename Ricky Dr. Doom.
No.
So it's island enough to be a shape of a skull?
Yeah. Skull Island. Skull Con. There you go.
That'd be badass.
That would be badass.
Yeah, I like where this is going.
Oh, then the last thing on Facebook, before we end that, from what I'm hearing from people who try to talk with policymakers on this, chances are the efforts to lock down Facebook's API is probably going to enrich Facebook more than anything, mainly because keeping the API open or even opening it up further would allow for competitors to take the feeds from Facebook, create new UIs, which could provide less personal data to Facebook, but still allow for the person-to-person interaction. And if the APIs are not opened up to allow that kind of thing, then Facebook completely controls those interactions, and no third-party apps or competitors can really be built on top of the data that people are sharing on top of Facebook.
And by the way, Tom Anderson's net worth, Tom from MySpace, is apparently still $60 million. Woo! It's not bad. It's not Zuckerberg money, but damn it, I'd be retired.
Yeah.
Has he liquidated his equity yet?
I don't know.
And how lucky did the Napster dude get? He got lucky as hell, right?
Ooh.
He fell from Napster. He went from being someone that was going to prison. I don't remember if he served any time, but it looked at one point like he was going to serve time, and then he somehow buddies up and becomes one of the co-founders of Facebook.
Yeah.
Wild, man. I wish I could look.
Oh, man. That dude's resume. He had Napster, the Facebook, Spotify, Facebook and Spotify that he had ventures in.
Wow.
What? He oh my gosh. He literally worked with Spotify because it had the same mission statement as Napster, but legally.
His name's Sean something, right?
Sean Parker. I have his
Sean Parker, that's right.
Yeah, I'm just at his Wikipedia page. So
does he have a LinkedIn?
I almost wish.
Does he have a MySpace?
I would have went
A LinkedIn.
Yeah.
If you had been in San Francisco, Silicon, that area, in 2004, and you were a go-getter, you'd be worth probably several $1 million.
Yeah.
If you're a real lucky billionaire. Go Jeff Bezos style instead of being like a Bill Gates billionaire where you kind of get fat and lumpy, and you go Jeff Bezos and get all hulked out.
Well, I read somewhere that a lot of those back, 10 years ago or so, even some of the administrative assistants and stuff were given a decent, it was small compared to, Zuckerberg and all those, but they were still given a decent little amount of stock that today is worth millions. And those were just some of the admins.
Nice.
Yeah, that happened to a person that painted the walls at Facebook. They didn't have any money to give them, so they gave them shares, and they ended up being worth like hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's a wild story.
Right place, right time.
Yeah, right.
And maybe we're there right now. Maybe this thing becomes a TV show.
Hey.
All right, let's move on to the next subject matter. In the infinite wisdom, Microsoft adding support for JavaScript in Excel.
Of course.
This seems confusing.
Didn't the article?
Why Microsoft? Why?
Didn't the article go into something about eventually supporting Python? I'm actually going to pull up.
They are considering it. Python is apparently the most requested script that Excel supports.
Why?
Finally, okay. This is so. this is a tool that I have wanted to have more integration with because it sucks on its own, as that's Microsoft's Power BI, which is this business analytics tool that I saw like right when it came out, and I actually got a workshop in it from in a webinar from like one of the Microsoft employees that worked on it, because the university that I work at invited a bunch of the students in to be a part of it, and there was just no way that you could work in it because it's just so off the walls, and everything is web based. So it's just like, how are you saving anything? How are you source controlling this? How are you doing this? It's just, sorry, random side note, but this just seems like a bad idea to me.
Yeah, everything about this is a red team's dream.
Yeah. It's like, oh,
it depends on how they execute it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the user will still have to execute it and still open it, but all the users do anyway. This just adds.
Yeah, I mean, but they can.
Go ahead.
Sure.
Do you want to load macros? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you are owned.
There's gotta be.
Do you want to open this critical document from a business partner that your boss requested feedback on? Yes, or it involves macros. Open it up. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you're also owned.
That's when you know it's hard to do. We had to work through that at a company I was at. Was globally disabling macros, and then the business started bitching. So we looked at a solution like Mimecast, which would strip the macros from a document and basically give you a PDF. It looks like a PDF. It doesn't have any functionality. And if it's legitimate, then the user can go out and say, hey, I need this full thing, and pull it down. It doesn't disable your risk entirely, but that, along with sandboxing, goes a long way from external sourced macro documents.
I wonder.
Just real quick, in regard to Mimecast, I have heard that's kind of pricey, isn't it, compared to other solutions, similar solutions?
Not really. I mean, they're about even. I mean, you know, you got Proofpoint out there. It might be a little bit more expensive than Mimecast, but
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how big. You know, again, we've got 20 some odd thousand plus users. So some things may seem expensive, but when you look at the mailbox count, you get a nice reduction in cost.
Yeah, because I'm not that big, but I'm in the like 3,000 to 4,000 range. So, but still global, you know. So we have stuff coming in from China. We have stuff coming in from everywhere, and that's actually one of the things I'm currently investigating are new, better spam filtering solutions, email security solutions. So
you're doing like DMARC and SFPs and DKIMs and all that stuff. I wish people just diving real quickly into mail security here. It's how many people have implemented DMARC and SFPs but have not set it up right? It's just amazing to me. They are difficult to set up, but if you're going to use it, set it up properly.
Oh yeah, it'll cut your amount of spam down, phishing, everything down.
The number of people I've seen who put SPF and then do tilde all is like, dude, come on, you're doing nothing here. What the fuck?
I have this program. I did a thing. It does nothing. What?
Hello world.
Every time you get an email, it just sends to log hello world.
They fit compliance check configured SPF. Compliance doesn't care anything beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
Some auditors are that way. God.
Okay, so just generally just consider it a bad idea. Let's continue on to the next one.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of positive things occurring with it.
I haven't read these articles. Patch Tuesday this week. Anything really interesting?
There was couple 67 patches, Microsoft patches. Google or Chrome is going to be Xing out Flash for all. I don't know if they already have or are going to be. I looked at my settings today in my Chrome settings, and Flash was disabled or off. And then it says there's a couple select sites that'll give you like a pop-up. Do you want to enable Flash? So that's a step in the right direction because Flash is crap and always has been.
Rest in peace, Newgrounds.
Exactly. And then,
I mean, you can do a lot of stuff in. I think you'll see more stuff moving towards just HTML video players or using
HTML5, yeah.
yeah, HTML5.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, HTML5. And then I know a while back for like those game sites looking into like having Unity had a browser engine at one point or something like that. There was one game that I played that it was a Unity game that was running in the browser. It was really weird. It was the only one.
It wasn't a plugin? It's a plugin?
Yeah, I don't know if it was a plugin or something. No, it wasn't a plugin. It was just fully rendering the game in Unity from the browser. And it was,
but I'm new to the computer shit.
That's all good.
I go to school, so I'm teaching myself, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, my bad. I didn't mean to fuck you up or nothing.
Okay, so one of the things in the second article under the Security Week, Edward Kovacs wrote here, a couple weeks ago we talked about that Qihu 360 that they found a vulnerability where you could open up, I think it was a Word document or something, and then somehow it tied in with Internet Explorer and it could bypass, so it could go out and reach web servers and whatever code you wanted to run without, you know, the do you want to enable macros and all that fun stuff. So that was actually patched in this Patch Tuesday. So that's kind of a 0-day. Apparently it was legit since there was no confirmation a couple weeks ago, but was real and Microsoft has patched it.
Yeah, we'll very quietly patch this. Let's not tell the public before we patch this. Which is actually something that I think is going to be more common. Well, is that more common to patch things and then say, yeah, this was a thing? Or
do that?
Yeah, but then you get people who reverse engineer whatever patches are applied.
Right.
To figure out what the fuck they're covering up. So I mean, one way or another, it's eventually going. The information is going to eventually get out there.
It's going to get out, but from a security standpoint, my preference would be that the CVE is created, you know, it's disclosed to the company patches it, and then advises of, you know, what the patch fixed. So at least there is that time frame of, okay, we're fixed. Even though you were vulnerable, the exploits haven't necessarily been created yet, as opposed to, hey, we publicly disclose this. We gave Microsoft 30 days. They didn't do it in 30 days. And now Exploit DB has like 15 exploits ready for you.
Right.
I would not find that fun.
No. Not from a blue team standpoint, no.
Well, from a red team standpoint.
Yeah, red team standpoint too, because then everyone's like, okay, now I can't freaking fix this in time, so just.
Well, yeah, in a lot of a lot of the debate you have with the business is risk of a vulnerability, right? Just because a vulnerability exists doesn't mean it has risk associated to it necessarily.
Exactly.
And we use vulnerability verification to certain business units to show that, yes, we could get in your box. Here's what we could do. And we do that at monthly touch points with them. So they'll have a system. They'll say it's patched up. This is all we can do for now, because if not, it'll break our systems. And then we go in and go, okay, here's what we can do with the unpatched the system, the patches that you didn't apply, and we will exploit them for them real time. And most of the time, it has to do with payment card systems, so that's a big deal.
Now, with not disclosing who you work for or anything, since you said the patch that you didn't apply, does that mean that kind of all the different business units have different systems administrators, whoever associated to the business units that are responsible for their individual servers?
So so there's a number of different patching groups, and most of them are assigned to a business unit or business function.
Okay.
So the patching groups, and we have maybe 10 of them, and those 10 then work on various system types, and those are all tied to a business unit.
Okay, cool. Very nice.
Cool.
So I get where you're coming from. It's just, I don't know if I'd like it.
Yeah.
All right. iOS will soon disable USB connection if left locked for a week. So that's in the screen locked?
Yeah, so if the device is locked. You can go on there.
Oh, I think it's actually a really good idea, I think, because this is how a lot of them will get around it. They'll, what was it? It's really complicated. I can't remember the name of it, but they've developed quite a few breaks for it. Basically, all I have to do is plug a cable into it, and it can be broken that way. I know some of the newer ones obviously are harder to do, but they've cracked both Android and iPhone. So if you could just disable the connection, hey.
So this is specifically for their phones.
Correct.
So it's a feature that totally disables data being sent over USB if the device isn't locked for a period of 7 days. So if you're one of those people that is that even possible anymore, that your screen never locks? You disable the lock button, you put no timeout.
No, this is if it is locked for a week. Not
I'm sorry, misunderstood.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So if you have an old iPad device that you've got sitting, it's got a connection to your computer, and it sits there for 7 days, they will disable that data transmission.
Here's a question:
You're
if
syncing movies or something.
If you locked it and you forgot your password, whatever, and you can't, how are you going to connect to the server if you haven't already connected to the Wi-Fi? Then you can't get into it because you're locked out. And you can't plug in your USB to sync with your iTunes on your computer.
Yeah, I'm sure Apple. Apple will probably have a back-end way that you can go and get it unlocked specifically by them. They didn't mention that in the article, but I figure, because that is a potential scenario from a consumer perspective. But but from the FBI perspective and authorities, they still need a court order to get these devices unlocked, right?
Well, they don't have a way to unlock it though. They have to use. Again, I can't remember the company.
Yeah, not unlocked, but
they certainly do.
Yeah, grab the data.
They do.
Yeah, they have to have some. They basically break into it to actually do it. They can't just say, "Oh, unlock the phone for us." No, we can't freaking do that. We don't have the key for it.
Yeah, but they have a method to get the data off. So even without,
well, they have to basically with the phone. So there's no actual backdoor. They basically have to be able to own the phone to do it.
But in the same sense,
they've shown that they can own the phone. Was a case recently where they asked Apple for help getting into a phone, and they said, "Never mind, we figured it out."
Yeah,
that was the San Bernardino shooter. Yeah.
It was.
That was the thing a year ago that the article was talking about.
Yeah,
I think
it's when you've got powerful nation states all working to subvert a technology company's protection. They're going to get past it.
Oh, it's celebrating.
It's just a matter of time.
It's white hat.
But too, that's where I think the subpoena, the court order to be able to unlock the phone and whatnot, that's where the 7-day ruling really will play a big thing. Because if that judge doesn't issue it, for 8 days, they're screwed.
Yeah.
As of the
Are
time
you looking at the TechCrunch article? Is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's called USB restricted mode.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, it was a likely response to the fact that iPhone seized by law enforcement or by malicious actors essentially will sit and wait patiently for this kind of software to be exploited to be applied to them.
Yeah.
And if law enforcement has it, anyone has it. So
I don't know the logistics of, let's say, your and I don't know how long the delay typically is for. It's stolen, and then the thief gets it to someone who can crack it. So could be, in response to to discourage cell phone theft. And maybe not just, Apple versus the FBI, as the news keeps reporting.
Yeah, and see, if I were Apple, that's definitely the spin I'd take. I like how you think, Liz. Apple should hire you.
But I mean, there's
Elizabeth.
There's all kinds of countermeasures for phones getting stolen. So you report your phone stolen, and essentially your cell phone provider bans that IMA.
Well, that's assuming they actually do it. There's a lot of providers that don't do it and don't share that data. So it's it may work, it may not.
And also default settings are key.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of the things that would be suggested, it's hard to extrapolate that across every phone, every environment. But to know that is something people can look into doing is important. What Jack was saying is that is a potential remedy for a situation like this.
That's right.
Yeah.
One of these are going to piss me off. Number 8 when we get to it. I can already feel my blood boiling.
I looked at it for like 5 minutes and I was like, nope, I have to be somewhat positive for the podcast.
I don't want to skip ahead. It was just I'm looking through the show notes now. I'm like, oh, jeez. I hate this.
Yeah, someone else bring up the next one. I'm doing some paperwork.
Sweet. So number 6 is Base Striker in the Wild 0365 Fishing 0 Day. I don't know who added that in, but
yeah, I threw this on here. It's pretty interesting. So there's different types of Office 365, but one of the specific types, if I see it in the body here real quick. Okay, so Office 365 General, and then 365 with ATP and safe links, and then 365 with Proofpoint MTA. All these are vulnerable. So if in the head of the email, you throw in a base href equals URL, and then in the body, you do an a href, and then the remainder. In standard Office 365, it will keep those, it'll put those together into
the full URL.
Think of it. Yeah, into a full URL. And so it's not detecting that short URL that's there and fully clickable is actually a malicious URL. It's seeing it as the full URL. Whereas the other ones, they will detect the two separate, the one is malicious, the other is just crap, and it'll show it as a malicious URL. So some of these phishing, spam, whatever it is, they can get it straight through these by utilizing this method.
So it's the rendering engine.
Yes.
Yeah, or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever wherever that check is happening, it's on the HTML being rendered, and it's only looking for anchor tags. It's only looking at where the anchor tags are taking you, not where anything else that's in the header for any links or anything like that. Because most of the links that are in the head are going to be like your CDNs for like your JavaScript, your CSS, all that stuff. But in email, you don't.
Wow. So they've got a for this specific base striker attack, they've got, I'm using Office 365. Yes, you're vulnerable. I'm using it with safe links. Yes, you're vulnerable. I'm using it with Proofpoint. Yes, you are vulnerable. I'm using it with Mimecast. No,
Nope.
you're safe.
You're good.
That's interesting.
You're good.
It is. Welcome, Charles. You found a
Hey.
signal. Congratulations.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
He's got signal.
Shalom.
All his bases are going to us. Yeah, so
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah.
Holy
I hear your beautiful voice.
Ah.
What's up, Chi?
How you doing, Charles?
You're in the backwoods of Chicago. Can't get a connection.
Charlie.
I don't think he's all there.
Yeah, he probably moved 1 inch away.
Just outside the access points range.
I had 2 bars.
It said 3G.
So yeah, that's something that they're going to have to pop on. I know at least 5 companies that use Office 365 with Proofpoint.
Yeah.
And they're very, very large companies. So it'll be interesting to see what moves they make here to fix this.
And I won't confirm nor deny that is one of the companies I'm looking at. So
Office 365?
No, Proofpoint.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I got you. Not that anybody has to admit one way or the other. Has anybody did a comparison enterprise-wide for Google versus Office 365? And what did you think?
And unfortunately, with my employer, we can't because by default, Google Docs is blocked. But they are going with Office 365 for whatever fucking reason.
Yeah, I know.
Somewhere.
It's interesting because they are going to essentially own the email world. So Lotus Notes used to be a competitor.
Mm-hmm.
And we have still some legacy groups that use Lotus Notes. We're slowly moving them off. Google's not doing enough to compete with Office 365 at this point.
And this is all in
I know
terms
they've
of
had some,
enterprise, right?
yeah, enterprise-wide, yeah.
Okay.
They've had some downtime issues, unexplained downtime issues that lasted hours, sometimes days. So yeah, it's just, you don't want the whole enterprise cloud email solution to be handled by one massive vendor.
It also gives credence as to why I'm leery as to any cloud solution. You inevitably have no idea what's going on behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Without some very good contractual safeguards in there. You're right. Yeah.
Well, but even a contractual safeguard isn't going to stop somebody from doing something if they have access and the desire.
And if your email's down,
for sure.
If your email's down for 2 days, contractual obligation sounds great, but how much damage is that going to do by your email being down for 2 fucking days?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's actually ways around that. I mean, you can have a rolling email server. I forget what it's called right now.
Hybrid mode.
Yeah,
hybrid mode.
Yeah.
So if it can't reach O365, it comes to Exchange on premises. Is that how that one works?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, but again, that's also assuming that your company wants to do hybrid mode because again, that's extra cost. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, but too, it's a redundant. It's like having dual uplinks or dual core routers. You like redundancy,
right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, for sure. I missed most of that conversation. Something was breaking up. I don't know if my computer's just using too much resources, but everybody was like, and talking in robot voices. I got a little scared. I thought you guys were Terminators.
Wait, you're not?
Well, if I was going to be a Terminator, I would want to be that like liquid dude.
Oh, yeah. The T-1000.
Yeah, that guy. Not Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's strong and big and that, but I want to be that newfangled guy where I can turn my hand into an axe.
I heckled the things.
Yep. Yeah. Your hand. Yeah, you could turn it into a USB drive. Think about that. Interface with a computer.
I just make it my thumb. Make my thumb a thumb drive.
Thumb drive.
Could you imagine like Inspector Gadget being invented today? He'd just have like all the different like input jacks on his hand.
There's got to be a super villain written for that, right? A guy that just interfaces with computers. He just sends out wires or some shit.
I know there's a super.
There has to be.
I know there's a superhero that he's Static Shock's sidekick in the DC universe. I'm gonna try to figure out his name.
Gotcha.
He basically
like Owen or something like that.
I don't remember. Gear is his name, and he's basically just a hacker that he's got all of his he's got a visor that he can like read his code super quickly because he has superhuman intelligence.
Nice. So the next topic is Drupal. Drupal Get On 2. I think that was Darren that might have added that.
No, it wasn't me.
Who added to the show notes?
But let's face it, Drupal has always been a security dumpster fire. So
yeah, it's right up there, like with WordPress.
Yeah, WordPress. It's a backdoor that also contains a blog.
Yeah, exactly. With customizable themes,
which are the source of a lot of the backdoors. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. The little plugins that go through no real security check. Yeah, I don't know if there's much. That somebody introduced was, well, you're making money. Well, you're making money, just not for you. That's Drupal Get On, and that I assume that has to do with the
crypto miner or miners,
crypto miner currency. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think it was essentially you can have it. What was it? Where is it? I have this pulled up somewhere. I think essentially it was there were actual. There were certain methods that you could call from these, or the exploits were calling certain methods that would talk to a system, and then you could just throw in your own code outside of that, and then get other stuff that way.
Yeah, if from some of you guys who are on blue team, some of you guys are like me and a purple team person. Isn't it? I mean, you're going to have to trade off between crypto mining software and, let's say, ransomware or just exploit kits, which have been on the downslide for as long as crypto mining software has been financially feasible. If you're going to take one, right? I mean,
yeah, I'd take crypto mining software on a system any day of the week over exploit kit or ransomware.
I totally take crypto because then your business is still able to function. It's not like, and you're not.
It'll be
function.
slow.
It'll be slow. It'll still be slow, but it will function. So you'll have lower performance, but you won't you'll still be able to maintain your business requirements and your business functions. But with ransomware, you're just, and I'm just gonna say it, you're just straight up fucked.
And you're visibly fucked too.
Yeah, everyone knows it. So if you get owned by ransomware, everyone knows that you're screwed.
It's exploit kits like the old Turkish hackers. Oh, page to face by this hacking gang. Well, that looks really fucking good. I remember when Snapple got hit by that. It was like, oh yeah, great, good job.
Oh God! So I never mind. I to our group, how many websites we defaced was.
But I mean, wasn't that the fun part?
What's that?
Wasn't that the fun part? Like, you know, when you finally get access to their web server and you're changing pages and you deface it and you put, you know,
your little tag.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. So there wasn't.
It's fun, but
these big security scanning services that exist out there today. So you're using like Nmap with a script or Angry. You were using something to find IIS version whatever. You know, it wasn't difficult to do whatsoever, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Not as fun as it used to be. What with the DOJ kind of they treat the minor stuff as if they're massive, big tragedy. I don't know. It's they're trying to make examples out of everyone they see.
Yeah,
even the small shit.
Yeah, but I mean, it just boils down to the fact that laws are big and unwieldy, and there's no such thing as a scalpel for computer crime.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, and that's part of the issue. I mean, defacing a website is not at all the same as owning a domain or ransomware. I mean, somebody's going to have to spend a little bit of time to fix it, and or the better thing, revert the snapshot 5 hours ago, and it's done in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, defacing a website should not be punishable in the same manner.
But you have gained access to a system you was not authorized to have access to.
Yeah.
Agreed. But if it was only on that one system and it's found to only be on that one system, I still don't think it should be,
The likelihood is the hunt for you isn't going to be as great as if you had, installed crypto mining software or was involved in a large ransomware campaign. They're not
catching like parking a handicap parking. Getting access to something you ain't got permission to, but are they really gonna bust your ass on it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm reminded a brief conversation I had with the DOJ guy who goes to Black Hat and DEF CON every year.
Yeah, just the one.
The one who publicly, the one who goes on panels and officially represents the DOJ.
Yes.
And
okay.
That narrows it down. Officially representing the DOJ.
the one that if you play Spot the Fed, he doesn't count.
You guys, are you guys old enough to remember Spot the Fed? I know Adrian is. Spot the Fed, like legitimately at DEF CON?
Yeah, I never
been Spot the Fed.
Never been.
Unfortunately, my first DEF CON was after those years.
Yeah.
I never really played the game, but I remember hearing about it at early DEF CONs.
Yeah, I mean, it was they did not want law enforcement there, cameras. It was super secretive. Mm-hmm. So people would play
Spot the Fed every day in the hood, you know what I mean?
And if you looked like a business person at all, somebody was going to tag you as being a Fed. That's just the way it was going to go. But now they're open about it. They come and they give presentations. And
I heard why they stopped the Fed, aside from the fact that probably more than half of DEF CON are either Feds or business people. There was an
At Black Hat maybe, not DEF CON.
DEF CON, these years, after especially the past several years, it's just so many businesses are just paying for their employees to just go to DEF CON, so it's just been flooded with business people. And last year you had the Cyber Grand Challenge, and who the fuck outside the DoD or the government uses the word cyber or businesses?
Yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine. I went to DEF CON this last year. I try to make it every year. I don't always, but it's more and more now a cultural thing.
I would have said that several years ago, but especially very recently, that's calling it cultural seems to be a bit reaching.
So what I mean by cultural, not security culture. I mean this new cultural wave of transgender and security and women in security. There was a bunch of panels related to that, more so than I've seen any other year. It may be equal to the last 2 or 3 years.
Now, admittedly, I didn't go to any of the panels last year because I figured, why go to things that are going to be in, why spend all my time sitting in the audience if I go to villages, which are not going to be on YouTube.
Village is the way to go. But you probably read the listing of the panels. I'm assuming.
I did scan through them, but nothing really struck out at me as having a enormous amount of women in tech or women in hacking talks. Maybe wasn't paying enough attention. I was probably too busy passing out Putin-themed hack the planet pictures to everyone, which I'm going to be doing again this year. And this time I'm going to make sure there's stickers.
I was too busy just passing out.
What was that?
Yeah.
I was too busy just passing out.
Oh, you were awake at some point. I did meet you there.
Adrian, you've been to DEF CON quite often.
Yeah.
Are you like me where you see more and more of this culture leaking into DEF CON? I mean, there were more purple, blue, and green hair people floating around that I saw in a long time.
That's been like that.
It's always been like that.
Yeah, for like 5 years, right? For about 5 years.
No, it's always.
So the purple,
not the Mohawk people. I'm not talking Mohawk.
It's like just the new group of young people. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They're getting weirder and weirder.
Yeah.
We're talking about the ones that have all these institutional backers, and a lot of the old guard likes to support them because it's the honorable thing to do, and they don't really see the pretty enormous degree of blackmail that goes on in the background. They kind of ignore it, or they see the occasional piece because that must be an exception, not the rule.
Yeah. Agreed.
I did want to finish up my bit in the DOJ person. Leonard Bailey. Talked to him a bit briefly about Matthew Keys and the DOJ going after him for what effectively amounted to tagging a wall on the internet. Something that in the physical world is a tagging a wall in the physical world typically is a misdemeanor rather than a felony. And his response to me was a bit shocking. Well, not shocking, it's surprising. It sounded like the reason why the FBI went after him was more so because of the chat logs that he had, chat logs of him where he pretty much was going the hyperbolic, take him down. Yeah, that kind of rhetoric. It's where
take who down?
It sounded as if he wanted the business destroyed or some kind of crap like that.
So it was really the rhetoric?
That was essentially his response to me. Yes, it was primarily because of those chat logs that they really tried to throw the book at him.
Huh.
Wow. That's a little scary, isn't it? I mean, it makes sense.
I understand the bit about the whole intent part, but I know, to me, having really grown up and through a lot of the Chan culture kind of thing, I always see rhetoric as kind of seasoning on like hyperbolic rhetoric as seasoning on everything. There's
Yes.
where you're trying to be literal, and that's not really a dynamic that easily gets across to prosecutors who barely spend any time online outside of Facebook.
Right. Yeah. Now, so that's a really good point in our ability to reason between what somebody is saying literal on the internet, what's hyperbolic, and or a mixture of the both. It's something we've learned to read somehow.
It's almost always context, and that's context involves typically people who spend all their time. And it's not something that a keyword engine is so easily going to be able to discern. So
I can't tell
yes.
tone over text.
That was a big deal with that Count Dankula case, right? It was about context, and the judge in Scotland said, "We will decide the context. You don't decide the context." Meaning, we're going to take what you say literally, and it doesn't matter what context you used it in.
That does remind me.
Not meant to garner any offense or like that. Yeah, that's stupid.
I find it funny that one of the journalists who kept trying to smear him, Count Dankula, he quoted Count Dankula saying, you said gas the Jews, you had your dog respond to cast the Jews, and this is grossly offensive. And Count Dankula said, the context was that I was trying to make my girlfriend's dog do the most uncute thing you can think of. The reporter said, context doesn't matter, you broke the law. And Count Dankula responded with, if that's the case, then you, the reporter, broke the law a few seconds ago when you said gas the Jews. He didn't say gas the Jews again specifically,
and then he left it at that. That was complete ownership.
Oh,
he owns him in every sense of the word.
That journalist just had like a blank stare for a moment as Count Dankula left. That was glorious.
Isn't that the same journalist that Tommy Robinson went after, and he kind of like ran away a little bit from Tommy Robinson?
I don't know. I don't typically follow UK journalists much.
It's becoming more and more interesting to me lately as we talk about UK's hate speech laws and the way that they're handling business over there. A lot of people in the US would like to replicate what they're doing over there, and it's super scary to me. I couldn't imagine living in a world where somebody puts lyrics to a rap song in their Instagram bio, and they get pulled from their house, arrested, taken to jail, convicted, and given a curfew, and given a large fine. What's that?
I said it's a chance to live in a book, though.
Yeah,
1984.
I was about to say that.
We're all living in 1984. Just the UK is the first 10 chapters out of an 11-chapter book.
Yeah,
I would also
I love
throw
the old phrase. The phrase went. 1984 was supposed to be a warning, not an instruction manual.
Their other phrase goes, Orwell was an optimist.
He was.
Too inaccurate.
Orwell, an optimist with real-world experience.
Well, and Orwell's nightmare scenarios, in many cases, didn't go remotely far enough to match what we have present day.
But then again,
this is
1984
this
was
is where you
written
balance
before computers and the mass media we have today. So, yeah.
This is where you balance Brave New World. Brave New World and 1984 colliding. And if you haven't read A Brave New World, we are maybe closer to that than we are to 1984 here in the U.S. anyway.
Brave New World, is that the one with like government, like bureaucracy hell?
Bureaucracy hell, yeah, and
Does have
everything
classes
is
of people,
done for pleasure and to enslave the people.
and they have classes of people
Yeah.
that are treated differently when they're raised from like test tube babies, and they have them certain
Got it.
classes, and they put them in. They do certain things to babies, like feed them alcohol or so forth intravenously to make them certain castes, and not necessarily want to be above the particular level. So that basically you're born into a particular job classification, sort of, and you had to, or at least caste system, and you had to spend the rest of your time as that.
Like controlled aspirations, kind of.
To a degree, yeah.
And yeah, the other big thing was you couldn't form a relationship with a person, so you could date someone for 2 weeks, and then if you didn't move on to another woman, or their church services were orgies. It was really, really far out there stuff. But the caste system and the way we're going with gene editing and technology pretty much taking over our lives as a whole is more interesting, and I could see that happening more clearly than I can the entirety of 1984, aside from the thing like thought police and dead words and all that good stuff.
Well, the thing with 1980, in terms of 1984, one thing I noticed right immediately when I got into the Netherlands was that there are cameras everywhere, like that are being like government, I will walk like maybe 5-10 minutes towards the city center, and there are just cameras everywhere around the city. Granted, it's the city center, but even in just company buildings and at random points in the streets, it's just there are cameras literally everywhere. You could probably do a full 360 and probably see like 3 or 4 cameras.
Oh, Barry, I may have mixed up earlier 1984 with A Brave New World. A Brave New World is what had the caste system and the orgies and shit as part of a church service.
Orgy.
Yeah. I could see that, but it's the relationship issue. Like eventually you're going to want to fall in love and date somebody.
I think that's already kind of happening today with the fact that we're slaves and we don't even know it. They got so much distractions out there with medias and everything that people don't have time to sit down and think about what the actual problem is and to fix it. Because as above, so below, you have to change what's in here before you can change what's out there. But people are so distracted with entertainment and leisure. TV is the worst thing. Screens are the worst thing that's ever happened to humans, period. Sit, stay is the message. And you're already slaves. The little orgy thing goes on. Can't form a relationship with people because there's so many people you can contact. Facebook, you got hundreds of people on there all the time. Back in the old day, you had to call the home phone and ask for me. You know what I mean? You don't really get such type relationships, not such a personal relationship as it is like a network of relationships.
Yep. Refer back to our earlier Facebook conversation. How come are you laying down? Why are you sideways?
He's guys.
Talking about me?
He's all twisted up. Yeah, you laying down.
No, he's on his phone, and the landscape mode hasn't gotten into play.
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Whitey. My shit's charging.
Whitey Ford.
Here. What?
So Whitey Ford.
Isn't that Whitey McBulge?
Whitey Bulger. Whitey Ford.
White boy with the, Whitey McBulge with a big old. I don't know.
Whitey
get it, man.
Was that?
Yeah, no, Whitey McBulge, white boy with a bulge in his pants. Whitey McBulge, one hung low.
Okay,
that's like a white rhino. You don't see that often.
Let's move on to the next one.
Color on my back.
This was brought to my attention, and I have to go through some background on a few of these people. Let me present to everyone. And
Jesus.
All right. First, let me go. I think I was kind of introduced to Alex Goldflux. I posted once a thing about what's more offensive: a joke that's not directed at a particular person or even women in general, or the idea that women are kept out of tech because of them. And this one mangina gets in my feed saying, well, it's because of this kind of harassment, this kind of harassment, this kind of harassment. And he links to a tweet from this nut that said something about, if women want to get paid more, they should ask for raises. Women ask for raises, gets fired. Men say, why don't women ask for more raises? That shit does not ever happen. And if it does, I'm pretty damn sure it doesn't happen to women any more than men. That's some this nut job belief.
Yeah, one hair shit I know.
You can look at her haircut and you can tell she's gonna be a nut.
Yeah.
I don't always.
Are you a woman?
Well, well, she even puts the pronouns in it, which is a never mind. Yes. I don't always read mailing lists, but when I do, it's because Richard Stallman is claiming the negative reaction to his abortion joke makes him a victim and scares women away from open source. We'll look at the joke here in a bit. Then this nut replies, who I've not blocked yet. Richard Stallman, the reason I didn't start contributing to open source then called free software in the 90s. I'm the only one. If that's what kept you out, you're probably too weak-minded and just to be a useful member of most communities, I would say. This is just some weak-ass shit.
Yeah, we didn't want any of your code anyway.
I mean, Stallman's kind of a dick like Torvalds, but honestly, if that offends you that much, him being that kind of a dick, you're pretty much, not able to survive in the
world. He and his followers pushed out. Let me finish reading this real quick. He and his followers pushed out a whole generation of female developers just at that critical time when open source adoption was widening. And then to widen some more, now Stallman has the unmitigated gall to suggest that removing his disgusting joke, we'll read the joke in a bit, and believe me, the jokes weren't half of it, will keep women out. RMS, my dude, you may want more women in open source. The best thing you could do is leave and never come back. To this day, I will not knowingly use any software he wrote. I will not contribute to any project he's associated with. That's a shitload of projects, open source-wise. I will not attend or speak at any conference where he's present. Egad, you are a weak, pussified person. And I will not, that's just me saying that. That's my interjection. And I will not promote the aims of any organization he is affiliated with. And I've seen this same nut job say various other things. Like, I mean, this is like so hypersensitive. And you want to see what the fucking joke was? Well, she said there was more stuff to it. And maybe the dude is a dick, but she sounds like a whiner. Here is the joke in question. It's in a man page. Future change warning. It's for the abort function. Future change warning. Proposed federal censorship regulations may prohibit us from giving you information about the possibility of calling this function. We should be required to say this. We would be required to say that this is not an acceptable way of terminating a program. And I'm like,
oh, that's not offensive. I think that's hilarious. It's making fun of how the government's going to try to stop the right of abortion rather than making fun of women or anything.
It's corny. It's slightly political and corny.
Yes.
But it's no place for not enough. It's not enough where an insane person would go, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not doing anything in open source because that fucking joke right there.
These people aren't sane.
I don't know.
They can't be.
No, sorry. To me, it just seems like it's about making excuses. Fuck. We all work with people that we all work with people we don't necessarily agree with, but we work with them anyway.
Yeah, I got once told by a mangina, well, not to me directly, someone else. Oh, trying to remember the mangina's name. That people like me force women out. If my jokes online and me criticizing feminism forces you out, then you are an incredibly weak person who didn't actually really want to be in tech.
So there's got to be cases of men, for sure. Jack, I don't know if you can comment on this at all. Being that you got that beautiful chocolate skin, but did you feel welcomed into the environment? Were there things that caused you to say, I don't want to get into security as white dudes only? This isn't a place for me. And I know who you are, so I'm going to say that didn't happen, but could you see that happen? And not only just the women, but people that would consider themselves in the out group.
Minorities in general.
Yeah.
No, I was never. I've always felt welcomed. There was one person, and it happened. It happened. I want to say a year and a half ago, where I was in an office moving a copier. Moved the copier, hooked it up to the network. Went back to my cubicle to make the phone call to do all the back end shit, and then the manager comes trouncing in like mad as a hornet because she was like, what was tech support to move this multifunction machine? The movers had to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think of there. I mean, I went. We were doing some social engineering for a company, where our goal was to get inside the company. So tailgating, all that kind of good shit. Nothing. I got into this because I wanted to. I had a passion. If you have a passion for something like this, no comment from anyone is going to keep me away from it.
Well, we got a comment in the. We got a comment in the chat. So, Askari61, your editing sucks, and yes, I'm joking. Okay, so do you have something to back up your statement that women were not pushed out of the 80s software industry? I'm not sure we ever specifically stated 80s, but the burden of proof is on the affirmer, and into little anecdotes doesn't prove it. I don't think it's on me to prove it. You guys have fun. Not my scene. Bye. Okay. Bye.
Yep.
Negative when the alternative has not really been the cause of the other of the claim that women have been pushed out has not really been substantiated. And yes, we can see that a lot less women who have CS degrees are in tech now. Or the rate of the percentage of women in tech has been less now than it had been decades ago. But the assumption has just been it must be because of the conduct of men, and that's pretty much been the ideological backing of much of the women in tech, hatred and vilification of men.
Yeah, so it was just an article that
assumptions
today.
Drawing conclusions where they ain't none. I feel like if you let a little comment like that, say you're gonna be done with open source, and then like you said, you ain't passionate about it. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to teach myself because I can't afford to go to school. I'm trying to learn everything I can. I ain't gonna let. I mean, I'm just saying, like, if there's a will, there's a way. If you want to, you're gonna make it happen.
I think the best response to her is that people like her are pushing people out to open source because they're walking on glass, just trying to deal with them. So respond to a claim of people being pushed out of open source with people being pushed out of open source. If they let's see if they can even try to defend against it and use their defense as a justification why their initial attack was bullshit.
What gets me is all the guys white knighting to say that this is actually a sane response, and I'm like, oh, God, I'm glad I'm not a dev.
But you know why all that white knighting happens. It's the thirst that got him. But no, I mean, I only know of one antidote of someone of a woman being discriminated against strictly based upon her gender.
Who don't like women?
Anybody looking at
who
the
fuck are these
comments?
Yeah, a couple of those. I am looking at it.
I'm not sure if this person was directing their comment at us in a facetious way or if they legitimately think that the person said, so you have something to back up your statement that women were not pushed out of the software industry in the 80s. You guys have fun, not my scene. Bye.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. That's okay. I'd started looking at this article. Yeah, that's That's an interesting take. I'd rather have a conversation with the person. That's the worst thing about where we're at today in society is you can have a disagreement about something, but let's have a conversation about it. Maybe you're going to give me facts that I haven't heard before, and I'd rather deal with it that way than somebody cut off a conversation and be like, "Oh, yep, you're not part of my group. I'm out."
Right. That's something. I don't know who here knows Linus Torvalds. Knows who he is.
I do.
Yeah. So he's basically the
No,
creator of
who?
Linux. Yeah, he's the creator of Linux. He's an
I'm
active
joking.
maintainer on the Linux kernel, and he's known for being kind of caustic. If someone proposes something stupid, he puts them in their place. Now he's not overly an asshole towards everyone, but if you do something stupid, he's going to call you on it. It's the same thing as Stallman.
Sometimes you gotta shit on people.
Exactly, and that's the problem. If you do something stupid, you're going to get shit on. Now, hopefully, you learn from it and do better, but. They're expecting that because someone shat on me, I'm not welcome anymore. No, they're shitting on you because there's a problem with your idea, and you need to fix
That's how
it.
you learn is getting shit on. You know what I mean? When I was
Exactly.
pouring concrete, I didn't know how to finish concrete. My boss said, "God damn it, pay the fucking attention," and I paid the fucking attention. That's how I learned. After a couple months, I knew what I was doing. That's why you
prefer
spank
not to
kids.
go about it by being called a
Don't
retard and
spank
shit
them.
like that. But
Yeah, you ain't gotta
company I
like
work
put
for,
anyone down or anything, but
I worked for a security company, and that's what they did. They would walk around and call people retards, and that's not a healthy scene to be around. But you got to be able to take it.
yeah.
And see, that's a people thing, not necessarily a company thing. Now, the company can influence if you have a number of people doing it.
It came from the top down. It was it. Yeah.
Thing. One comment I did have, kind of in response to the message on YouTube, people haven't really been influenced to get into tech up until about the last 15 years, at least kind of our security side of it. Before that, it was mainly us having an interest, getting into it, messing with stuff, breaking stuff, and we did it because we wanted to, not because colleges were teaching it or high schools were necessarily teaching it or anything like that. Now, some more high schools and colleges are starting to, but when a lot of us were coming up, it didn't matter if we were white, black, Hispanic,
Male,
whatever. We were getting into it because it was something that interests us. And so
there was that really good article that was written a couple of days ago. I tried to screen share it. It's a female engineer's perspective on why there's not more females in engineering, and she had a great take. Talking back in the early days, in the 80s and 90s, open source development, this community was considered an antisocial community. It was for nerds and geeks, and they're generally have better social skills than men at the young age where somebody would get into this. And she thinks that's the reason potentially why.
Yeah, there's probably also the stereotype and made probably enforced by a lot of the 80s media of essentially all nerds and geeks were almost exclusively sex-starved guys who probably are going to be creepy towards women.
Yeah, honestly, most of the female engineers I know are more introverted than extroverted. So that could have some validity to it.
Do you think it's possible to get into this
That's
field,
for sure.
Without going to school, though? Maybe that's a factor in the whole thing, is that a lot of, I don't really know what the percentage is, but I know that a lot of my female friends, they haven't really pursued school or even graduated. They just dropped out and shit. I think it might be a thing whereas men get more into techie fields and women go, I don't know what the statistics are, but I think that might have something to do with it.
Well, the statistics are they make up 57% of the total workforce, and somewhere near
the college
20.
graduates?
I don't know how that's divided between college graduates and people that just graduated from high school GEDs, but women, just people who identify as women, people with vaginas, they make up about 57% of the workplace. And only about 20 some odd % in technology. and a lot of thought and social scientists try to explain it in the way that men are good with things and women are good with people. So they gravitate towards areas where they can directly help people. So this woman engineer, the James Damore memo, they both kind of said, well, there's ways we can improve this and get more women into technology by doing X, Y, and Z and offering up solutions. But we're not a society anymore of let's find a solution. We're a society that seeks problems. Say, here's a problem.
Yeah, and,
Okay.
and we've discussed this multiple times. You know, one of the most annoying things is somebody who comes to you with a problem but offers no solution. It's just the sky's falling 100% of the time. You know, okay, so if you want to have a discussion, let's have a discussion. And like with this, women in tech, whoever in tech, a lot of the times they want to narrow it down to one thing. They want to make generalizations. Again, it comes down to a people thing. Not all women are exactly the same, you know, and I'm not going to be dumb enough to ever say that.
Come on.
You know, so there's
that's
going
a
to be,
reach, my man.
Yeah. But
I think people ain't seeking solutions, they're seeking pleasures. You know, they don't want to sit down and have a discussion. It's like I said, there's so many distractions. It's not a not a society. Well, there's certain communities like this where people want to get down with solutions, but the society as a whole, they'd rather, you know, they'd rather not
Bitch
get
and wine,
engaged with
right?
it. Like just like that
Because
two commenter said, he said, not my same bye, or just after people don't want to sit down and talk and really fix shit because they really don't give a fuck.
Because they know someone else will fix it for them if they bitch and complain enough. That's literally what it ends up being. Because,
and that's one of the biggest things in a corporate culture that needs addressed. Because if you work under IT, you work under a CISO, you work under IT director, whoever. If somebody goes and complains to the CEO, guess where that's going? To your CISO, to the IT director for you to fix. Even though that wasn't a priority at all. All of a sudden, now it's become a priority because they scream the loudest and they have that direct line of communication to the CEO. So that's a top-down problem that needs to be addressed in a majority of companies.
Oh, so here's one. I'll save this for off air.
Okay.
It was an interesting issue that we ran into recently, and I shouldn't divulge it live on air, but yeah, it is. It's a cultural problem. It's a corporate problem. It's all over the place. We want to whine, bitch, because it's easy. It's easy to say something isn't right, or I'm offended by X. It's the people that offer solutions, and you see what happens to them.
Yeah.
When a solution is offered, they are lambasted. So how many people are going to want to offer solutions to problems? Even solutions that may not work. Maybe the solutions ain't, and maybe it's not going to work.
Yeah.
But at least they're talking about it.
But at least it brings up a conversation.
Things are really like that. I don't think the dynamics are really like that. Oftentimes, yes, there's a dynamic where people want to be angry for the sake of being angry, but in terms of people offering solutions, maybe the correct solution, the one that offers nuance and takes into account everyone's views, that's rejected in favor of what solution is said the loudest and in the simplest terms that appeals to pre-existing biases. So it's not like solutions are always ignored. It's just that oftentimes the wrong is simple and the simple solution is prioritized.
Yeah, I don't think we disagree about that.
Yeah, no.
I think so. The simple solution to less women in tech is for companies to put a premium on women developers regardless of merit.
That doesn't sound like a good solution. I like that.
Oh, you can't do that. You cannot do. Well, I guess now that
toxic meritocracy.
They
Before.
do.
I would never want to work with someone who unironically uses the term toxic meritocracy.
Well, yeah, there was that article for a while ago.
Neurotoxic toxicity.
It was meritocracy is a white male patriarchy scheme.
Oh,
Wow,
And I thought,
wow.
I said, what the fuck?
Ain't no scholarships
Merit-
for underprivileged young white youths. Just
Well,
saying, that's
I
all
mean,
out here for a white boy.
You
Just as much as it
look
is
at
for
your
everyone
sports
else, man.
teams. How many NBA Jewish 5'2" people do you see? None, because it's a merit-based system, and the best get on the court, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go Cavs.
There you go.
But the Celtics.
So, would you like Ben Shapiro to play on the Cavs?
He talk them all to death.
Yeah, he talk about it now.
No, going back to another point, they talked about, men and women have different thought processes. And yeah, you see this, for example, in people-based fields like psychology and childcare and
Social workers.
Thank you. I was trying to think of that one. Yeah, are overly dominated by women. You look in the upper degrees of psychology in the graduate classes, it's 30-1. It's that ratio of women to men, and yeah, why are people bitching about that? Well, because that's what they gravitate to. It's because what a lot of women do well. Not to generalize, not to lambast them, but that's
Same reason why you don't see women on a construction site.
Yeah, very few.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with like my son, we have a babysitter for him every day while my wife and I work. I would not for 1 second feel comfortable with him having a male babysitter who wasn't, like a close friend or a family member. Just somebody I hadn't met or, had very little interaction and knowledge of. I honestly would feel much more comfortable with a female being his babysitter.
Even though a female could be just as likely to be a predator there.
Could be.
Yeah.
It's one of those weird, cognitive biases there.
Yeah.
Not really.
Go rape a child. You know what I mean?
There's a guy that he's a high level security preparation and planner. So he's the one that plans like presidential routes and the way that the Secret Service is set up to protect the president. He does high profile celebrities and things like that. And he had a book recently where he talked about the old adage for children being, when they were lost in stores, was to do what? You were lost in a store, what were you supposed to do?
Go try to find a person to work there.
Checkout area.
Yep, try to find a cop, try to find somebody of authority. This guy says no.
Could David's mom please come to the front desk?
It's you go towards the nearest woman and you tell her that you're lost. That was his suggestion based on evidence. And I thought it was it hurt, it offended me, but at the same time, I see the logic of it.
Yeah, I get that.
I get it. So I'm not going to whine about it. I'm just going to go, okay, I get it. I understand. Men are naturally more violent than women. Okay.
I'd like to see.
I never really felt comfortable.
More women you can bring into my environment, the better. You know what I'm saying?
I never felt comfortable trying to extrapolate statistical averages to being to individual personalities. It's like on average, men are more violent. Therefore, you should treat all men as inherently more violent.
That's what people do if they don't understand statistics. But if you were a risk-driven person, meaning you're risk averse, you will apply that statistic, won't you?
Mm-hmm. So why would you? So it still seems to be higher risk to say pick the nearest stranger who happens to be a woman to help you out, rather than say pick an authority figure whose job it is to try to help you find your mother. Or your
I think people would rather pick the person that's wearing the Walmart shirt rather than just a random woman. You know what I'm saying? But on the other side, how many times do you hear about women mugging people?
Mugging is
that's what. No, that's what I'm saying. People try to say that men are more violent. No, it's that men are men. You know, we're like physically made to be able to go out and kill the deer, bring home some food. But that's no reason. Like, it's drawing conclusions where there ain't none. You know what I mean? You can't judge people. All people are fucked up. Point blank. Period. You can't trust nobody.
But statistics do have
either way is right.
Validity in our world. Statistics
put them in
do
the right
bear
context,
out.
course.
that men are generally more violent than women. We commit most of the crimes, most of the deadly crimes. Of course, most of the rapes, all that good stuff. That's neither here nor there. But what the guy was doing is presenting evidence that there have been cases of police finding kids and abducting them, or are people, or you don't know if it's a police officer. It looks like it's a security guard, and those dudes are shady as fuck. Those
At what point?
Wow, what's that supposed to mean?
Statistical. Well, yes, rent a cops are kind of like bottom barrel, but it's a statistical anomaly. If you're, it's like, I'm trying the best way to phrase this.
I can't argue this guy's point. I'm repeating it. I get what you're saying.
You could take any argument. You could try to take almost any stance in any argument. You could find some crackpot on Twitter to substantiate a given claim, and you could almost never be wrong. You can always be an example. The thing is, you will almost never be a representative example.
So, example.
All right. Let's see. All right. I know it's probably going to be the controversial one here, but let's say the gun regulations debate, or the people who try to change the Second Amendment. There actually have been some people, like there have been op-eds that have said repeal the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
But those people are not the majority. They're not representative of the crowd who talks about the more larger crowd who talks about wanting to change gun laws. But the fact that there is someone out there, even an op-ed, who literally argued for repealing the Second Amendment, you can make the claim that liberals want to get rid of the Second Amendment, and you would not be wrong, because there's your example. Not a representative one, but the example exists.
That's not data, right?
It's the straw man fallacy.
Yeah. Yeah, so I wouldn't take poll data, especially one conducted the way that they conducted their poll, and use that to back up statistical studies.
Plus,
that's a good one, though. I mean, that's a solid argument.
Yeah. Plus, back to the example of a child in a shopping center being lost, and kind of a revert for Liz. I'm thinking of it from, say, a 4-year-old's perspective, or a parent with a 4-year-old. To me, I think it's a lot easier for a child to understand, the difference between male and a female, and as opposed to searching out and knowing where a cashier, where somebody of authority, who, and being able to identify who one of these people are. It's, for somebody who doesn't have the mindset of a 30, 40, even a 20-year-old, but has.
I got lost at Walmart when I was a child, and a worker had come up to me. It was like, "Hey, like, you all right?" And I was like, "No, I can't find my mom." Like, no shit. And that's why I said, "David's mom, come to the front desk," because that's what they did. They walked me up. I can't remember if it was a man or a woman. I was pretty small, but I remember that I didn't ask the person. I was just looking for my mama, and he had come over, or she. I can't remember. It was a while. Like I was young as fuck, but yeah, like they ain't got the mindset of an adult, but adults are. Normally, you see a kid walking around, you're trying to help him out. But so are the fuckos too, you know what I'm saying? Let's see a kid walking around and say, "Hey, bud."
Yeah.
I don't think it's a man or woman thing, but I think I disagree with you though. It'd be easier to seek out someone wearing like a Walmart shirt, because that's where I was when I got stuck. To find someone who's wearing a Walmart shirt or something rather than a complete stranger. The people there working are there to work. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought you brought up, and that was his point. Israel was really about how to instruct the child to recognize who to ask for, and I actually think his claim went further than that. I think he may have said, and it's been a while since I read the book, but something to the effect of, "Look for a woman with children."
Oh, okay.
I think that might have been it. And it really was, how do you explain risk to a child and then have them understand what that risk is and how to mitigate it.
Yeah.
So I thought it was
stay within my sight. I'm busting your ass. Gotta make your kids mind. I mean, shit happens and you get separated, but I think it'd be easier to explain to them, you know, stay within my sight rather than, oh, well, if you just wander off, here's what you do. Here's what you do.
You folks like to put them on leashes.
Yeah, I heard about that, man.
Oh, heck
That's
yeah.
fucked up.
I'm totally.
A lot of comedians have made jokes about it.
My parents did that to me, and it fucking worked because I was a precocious little
No
shit.
shit.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
My parents did it to me too.
I like to wander as a kid, so yeah.
Yeah. I wandered off once. It only happened once. They got that leash and that was done.
Hey, Jack.
Billy, you're going back in the kennel.
Jack, how many black parents put their kids on leashes?
Jack isn't in here anymore.
Ah,
shit.
Jack.
Like
Bernie Mac was talking about that on stand-up. He said, man, I wish I could put a leash on my kids. And Cat Williams was too. They both stayed up talking about it. He said, going to go get some Skittles. He said, hey, he said, get on me, little motherfucker. Little motherfucker.
I remember being at the zoo with friends and looking at other kids on leashes, and we sit there and laugh like, what the fuck is going on here?
Like my dog stays in the yard. If I kick his ball out of the yard, he stops at the boundary because he knows if you can't make your kids stay by you, you gotta put a leash on him. Just like if your dog will not stay in the yard, you gotta put a leash on his ass. Me personally, I never put a damn leash on my kid. But I see what people do it though is better than having your kid get abducted or hit by a car or something.
Yep.
Yeah, I hear you.
If you imagine all your buddies seeing you on a leash, run into your niggas at Walmart or wherever you're at. Yeah, man. They're clowning on you. Damn, nigga, you on a leash?
Oh, boy.
I'd be embarrassed as hell if people see me on a leash.
I think that's all the topics, huh?
Yeah, that's all the topics we had listed. I'm seeing if I did have something, but the show notes were starting to go long, so I didn't add it on. I can here if we want to discuss it real quick. Let me take a look at it.
I can talk briefly on SDR.
Yeah, Liz, who didn't add it to the show notes.
Yeah, because I was thinking, yeah, I did this with GQRX, but again, I'm not sure if I want to show me opening my show exactly how a key fob works with GQRX and with my car. Yeah. I don't know enough about key fobs to know if is that if I put that up and show a video of it, will that be something other people can copy and open my car with? But anyways, so I was actually been bugging me for a while. I was kind of curious, I have a car where key fob where you're close enough, lets you just open the door. You don't need to insert the key or anything. I was kind of curious about, if that would kind of drain the battery. If the key was, beaconing out constantly and until a car was nearby. And so take a little bit of a look into that. So first, a bit of a beginner SDR. A lot of most RF emitting devices in the US, somewhere on them have something called the FCC ID. You can look up the FCC ID on either the FCC's website or one of the many other websites that searches FCC's website for you for all the documents that the vendor submitted to the FCC to get that device approved, at least the RF part of it. Among other things, it will list the spectrum, the frequency that it operates on. So in terms of my key fob, it was 315 megahertz. So I fired up GQRX. For those of you who don't know, it's a simple graphical tool. It runs on top of GNU Radio, but the tool essentially does make a visual graph of pieces of the RF spectrum. So I fired up GQRX. I had HackRF using HackRF and set it to 315 megahertz. I did a few exploratory tests. I opened and closed my, I pressed the open button or lock button on my key fob. I saw the bursts in GQRX, very clear visual, but I didn't see any beacon. I didn't see anything that would indicate that anything else nearby would be responding to the key fob's presence. So I decided to take the key fob, take my laptop running GQRX in a key fob near my car with GQRX still running. And what I saw as I got close was a little bit of a blip every 2 seconds started appearing when my key fob got close to the car. So
Oh shit!
After I found that out, did a little bit more research and found out that car broadcasts every 2 seconds at all times on the 135 kilohertz spectrum. I don't know what specifically is broadcasting, but it broadcasts every 2 seconds. And once the key fob receives a message, it then responds.
What were you using to detect the RFID transmission? Were you using like a
HackRF?
HackRF.
What was your interface?
Interface GQRX.
No, I mean like cord. Like, did your wireless cord pick it up?
Oh no, HackRF picked it up.
Yeah, HackRF. Yeah, is what you would use. I guess the interface would be. Maybe he's looking for. Were you using Kali? Were you using a?
No, I mean like
pineapple zero.
Your interface for connecting to the internet is like LAN 0. What was your interface that picked up?
Oh,
like, was it a micro?
It's HackRF.
Like the hardware.
Yeah, it's HackRF.
HackRF.
Oh, is that a piece of hardware?
Yes.
I'm gonna have to look that up. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's nescience, not ignorance.
No worries. It could sound like an application for those unfamiliar with it. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's actual hardware.
There are applications that one would use with HackRF though.
Yeah. My understanding is that there are cheaper HackRF's over $100, but there's cheaper RF devices that are more so less than $50 if you want to experiment in that.
You can do it yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. To be honest, I forget the names of the cheaper devices. So you take a closer. RTSDR.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about.
That sounds right.
It's about $30 maybe, something like that. It's got an antenna.
Yeah, RTSDR. That's without the antenna, it's around $20. But you'll need the antenna.
So what else did you find out after you seen that the beacons were broadcasting every 2 seconds? Did you find out anything else about this stuff? Because it's kind of interesting to me. Because that'd be a pretty valuable exploit to find, or like as a.
Fortunately, at that point, I'm not really that savvy in reverse engineering, especially RF protocols. So, unfortunately, don't really have too much more on that point, though. I probably will do more research.
If I have the hardware, that's interesting.
Because there are guides. Yeah. There are guides out there which these people have used for their other cars to be able to essentially use your laptop to be able to open or close their car as a replacement for the key fob.
Check this out. I just googled the HackRF, and you were speaking of cheap devices. Hang on a sec. I don't know if I'm switching my camera over. Give me a sec.
Cheaper would be the RTSDR.
Yes, and HackRF Blue.
RTSDR
is another one.
22.
Yeah, HackRF. Oh, it's up to $300 now. Yeah. What the? Just one for $190? The difference. What's the difference between those two? Yeah, well. Anyways, but yeah, if you if you do end up getting a HackRF, just note it's half duplex. You can hook two of them up together if you want something full duplex, but those listeners who don't know, half duplex means in terms of RF, you can either listen or you can transmit. You can't do both at once. If you are full duplex, you can do both at once.
Nice.
Thank you.
Did it take you a while to pick up the frequency? How did you?
No. Once I know the frequency, I just set the GQRX to the frequency number, and I just walk nearby.
Yeah. Okay.
I
so
walk
it's similar to a badge reader type if you're looking at a badge reader potentially is sort of another use case for these type of devices, HackRF and whatnot.
Oh, HackRF it's less it's not so much RFID in that one of the intro SDR stuff, or let me try to rephrase this. You could literally toggle to radio stations using HackRF and GQRX.
Yes. Yep.
Like you know the numbers for a radio station, 102.7. That's actually a frequency number. You can literally go to 102.7 megahertz, and voila.
From the hardware perspective, it looks like there are a couple other options that are kind of up in the HackRF1 range that I've just found here. AirSpy, SDR Play. So if you guys have heard of those or have them, they have the same type of functionality.
I'm kind of curious about comparison. Let's see. Here we go. Graphic comparison between SDR Play, AirSpy, and HackRF. Biggest difference seems to be the frequency range. HackRF can go up to 6 gigahertz, whereas SDR Play maxes out at 2 gigahertz, and AirSpy maxes out at 1.8 gigahertz.
Oh, okay. There you go. From the Pro, straight from the Liz Pro.
And AirSpy and SDR Play has no transmit capability whatsoever.
Ah. Did the RTL SDR, is that what it was called? RTL SDR?
Yes.
RTL DSLR, yeah.
Yeah, does it have transmit capability?
I believe so. I believe so.
I'll link the Amazon link to it. And I'm sure you could find it in other sources, but here in the chat.
Yeah, because if for $30, just even to tinker and play around, because once it's getting up in the $200-300 range, that's somewhat of a commitment. But for $30, that's a really easy win for starting to play with it and getting used, even just for testing and general knowledge.
Yeah, this will pick up terrestrial and satellite. It's kind of cool.
Terrestrial or extraterrestrial?
Ooh. They are out there. I believe.
You want to hear something crazy? I was in the kitchen and I pulled my phone out of my pocket and this page was up.
Oh wait.
I don't even know how I found y'all. It was just there, and I started watching. When are you guys gonna be on here next week? Or
Yep, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Though sometimes we also do, the odd stream at other times, but that it's usually always Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Yep.
Cool.
How many of
one
you
of the things I'd like? Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to ask about a completely different topic. I'm sorry, hardware device.
One of the things I'm going to be trying in the future, and probably will post a video of it when I do get around to it, Tempest SDR. So if you're familiar with Tempest Attack, you can pick it up using a lot of common SDR tools, including HackRF. So I'm thinking of just trying to pick up an image of my own monitor, a different computer's monitor, using HackRF.
Yeah. Adrian, you still pen test now? That's mainly what you do?
Yes.
So back when that's what I did full time, going through an airport when you're traveling to another city to do a pen test, I had to do it 2 weeks ago. My God, your bag is full of every battery of every type of device that looks strange to a TSA agent. and I don't have that pre-approval, so I got to go through the line and essentially empty out my bag.
Yeah, I had a friend once had a problem with a duck duck antenna that they said it was like too long for him to have because somehow it got interpreted as a tool, which I guess technically it is. It's over 7 inches long.
And that's why I switched to a Tetra. I had some pretty long antennas for my cards, to test wireless and segmentation of wireless. There was frequently a problem with the length of the antennas that I had. So I switched over to a Tetra. They've got more antennas, but they're smaller.
All right. Anybody got anything else on this subject?
No, sir.
Not on this. I did add one more to the show notes.
Okay, go ahead. Let's cover that, and then we'll do a little off here, and then what else we got?
Okay, so this one, every major OS maker misread Intel's docs. Now their kernels can be hijacked or crashed.
Wait, what happened?
Yeah.
This is essentially the eternal F-up of Meltdown Inspector.
Yeah.
That I'm pretty sure now is never going to end. So the documentation that Intel gave to the manufacturers, gave to Apple and Microsoft and everybody, it sounds like the documentation was just crap, and all these guys misread it. And so whenever they wrote the code to fix it, wrote code that didn't fully fix it, because they didn't fully understand the architecture on the Intel side. So we still don't have full-blown patches for any of this yet, is what it gets down to, because of the documentation.
Even the patches that were coming out were breaking shit.
Oh, everywhere.
We had it. Yes, we had a sysadmin that decided to start patching some of our production servers, and
without testing first, of course.
Without testing first, one of those guys.
Yeah.
And caused major problems for our organization.
Yeah.
At least, a couple of the units. Interesting. So it was a documentation misread.
Yes. And not just a misread, it was just poor documentation is what it's looking like.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
But
some of the worst points is some of the patches they've been putting out aren't actually fixing the problem. Like VMware has put out like 3 patches at least already, and they found out, this first one, didn't fully fix it. Oh, okay, we have to do this instead. And it's like, yeah.
And so it's not just that it was poor documentation. Once they even get to the patching side and the testing side, it's not even getting through Q&A good at all.
Right. What's funny is, Adrian, I don't know if you can back this up or not. You don't even have to go as far as messing with that kind of stuff. With as much MS-1710 Eternal Blue that you find in different organizations, that's easy work. You don't even have to look for the hard stuff. You can pivot around. I found, 2 weeks ago, probably 200 systems that had the Eternal Blue vulnerability of some sort. And
I had problems reliably getting exploitation on all of them, but usually if there's a bunch of them, it will be one I can get exploitation on.
Yeah, and it depending on what endpoint protection they're using, you can run an encoded Mimikatz in memory and dump the clear text passwords, and now you're free and ride in other systems.
Did any of you, what's his name, rewrote Mimikatz or added another piece so that, what was it? You could take the Keybrose ticket and then emulate a DC and have everybody start authenticating against you. Has anybody tried that yet? Because I think it came out here 3 months ago or so. Okay. I haven't played with it yet, but it definitely looks interesting.
Yeah, I would only do that in a lab. In lab time is tough to come by.
Yeah.
I wouldn't try it in a live scenario. I don't think, but Maybe
I don't
I
know.
would. Maybe I get drunk out on a test. And
if I was, 100% red team, and I was pretty, I'd already verified and validated it in a lab scenario, I may be persuaded to try it.
Yeah, and then the other side of that, obviously, Adrian knows this very well, is getting permission to do stuff like that. So sometimes they say, do whatever.
Yeah.
We're not going to give you any information, do whatever. And more often than not, though, there's a clause that says you may not impact any production systems unless otherwise approved. And then you're asking, and here's the worst part. The worst part is you go, hey, I found this on this system. May I test it? And they say, sure. And then they turn the firewall on, or they change the password. They do something to mitigate it as you're testing it. Well, you sons of bitches.
I say, hey, I'm going to rob your house tonight, man.
Yeah, that's why from a pen testing perspective, honestly, whenever we're pen tested externally, for the most part, I am the security team. So I'm not informed of a pen test. My
really?
Yeah. It's usually one level above me, which is director level, and then one level above him. And it's two people in the company are about the only two that ever know. And so because they want to test my reaction, MSP's reaction,
that's the only way I can see doing it. Where
how soon is it detected? Did we, just the whole gambit, but they want to see what the security actually looks like. And then also on the flip side, have they been patching? Has this been happening? So, yeah.
So if you're mature enough in terms of your IR plan and your defensive strategy, I can see doing that. We red team semi-annually for our incident response program. We both test the defensive side, as well as the various groups. So IR can be any number of things. It doesn't necessarily have to be security related.
Yeah.
But if you're mature enough, I could see them saying, okay, let's test them and see how quick they are to react. But if you're not mature enough, meaning you don't have the proper staff in place, potentially you're still
I think you broke up there.
Yeah, we're not hearing you, Ricky. But to Ricky's point, if you don't have policies and procedures in place for monthly patching, honestly, bringing in a third party pen test is just pointless because you are going to fail within the first minute.
Or a SIM, a properly tuned SIM, or a UBEA product, or some other point, some malware bytes, for instance. I mean, you got to be at a certain level to go blind into a pen test and hope your blue team is going to detect it.
Yeah.
So I would suggest give them a range of IPs and say, we're going to look at this one. I want them to show me detected their activity.
Yeah.
A lot of time under the covers, see an M17 exploit of take some post-exploit trigger or what have you. A lot of times you just ride under the covers with it.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I'll say about that.
Yeah. Guys, I think I'm about ready to wrap it up because I got to get sleep soon. I know someone wanted to say something offline. So, everybody, thanks for joining the cast, and I'll catch y'all next week.
Adios.
Yes, sir.